Well, howdy there, Internet students. Mr. Hermanson again. If you're watching this video, then that means you need to retake Objective 1.3b, which is finding the slope intercept form of the equations of lines. Let's get the basics down here. Now remember, you need to show these notes so that I know that you watched the video and listen. So you're going to write your equations like this. That's a plus there. And this number right here, called the coefficient of the equation, you're going to get that from finding the slope. And then this b here is the y-intercept. Now, just a quick review of what the slope is for a line. So let's say we have some line on a graph like that. And the slope, remember, is like the rate this line is going up. Sometimes we find it by doing rise over run. That's the slope. The other way you can find the slope is by using the coordinates, subtracting the y coordinates to get the rise, subtract the x coordinates to get the run. Now remember, your calculator can help you with this technology too. If you need to find the slope accuracy, just put it in your list and run the linear regression, and that'll help you find the slope. And then the other thing we have to do is find the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so where it crosses this line. So that point right there, the y part of that point. And you'll know where it is because it's the point where x is 0. So it'll be 0 and then something, which we call the letter b in the equation. All right, so if you have a table of values, just look in the table, and where x is 0, let's say your table goes up by, maybe it goes up by 2 every time, whatever. This value right here is your y-intercept. So in this first problem, we actually have the y-intercept. It's the point 0.25, so the b part of your equation is going to be 25. So let's just put a little notation there. That's your b. And your slope is your m, so you can just plug that in. Y equals m, which is -4, times x, plus your y-intercept, which is 25. You're done with that one. Okay. Moving on down here now, if you've watched these videos before, you can pause them, do the few problems after I show you how, and then start up the video again, however you want to do that. Or you can just take all the notes and go back and work out the problems if you think you can handle that. All right, so in this one, it's a little bit different. We are given a point, but it's not the y-intercept, but we know the slope is 2. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple ways you can do this. One way is just to do the math. When you have the equation, and you take your slope, which is 2 times x, and you add the y-intercept, the b part, for these numbers, it has to be true. In other words, when x is -2 and y is 5, whatever you add here has to make that true. So if I take that 5 and put it where the y is, and I take that -2 and put it where the x is, multiply it by 2, so that would be -4. Whatever this thing that I add has to make it equal to 5. And that would be 9. -4 plus 9 is 5. Okay, so that's one way you can find it. Another way is just to follow the pattern on the table. So you have a point at -2, 5. If you go up by 1 here, the slope tells you how much the y is going to go up by. Remember, the slope is a rise over run, so 2 is equal to 2 over 1. So that means the y goes up 2 every time the x goes up by 1. So if I go up by 1 and my x's, y's will go up by 2. Well, when you do that, you can eventually get to 0, and which would be your y-intercept. So it's 9. All right. Moving on to problem 3, what if we're given 2 points? We're not given the slope. Well, the thing is, if you have 2 points, you can go ahead and find the slope. And it's this formula here. So I'm going to take my y's, 1 and -5, and subtract them. And on the bottom, I'm going to subtract my x's, -2 and -1. And that equals 6 over -1, which is -6. So I now know my slope. So now I'm in the same spot I was in the last type of problems. I can start to write my equation. I just got to figure out this little thing here, the y-intercept. And I can use either of these points to help me do that. And then I can check it with the other point just to make sure I got it. So if I use this first -2 for x and 1 for y, so I put 1 where the y is, and then I'm going to multiply x, which is -2. When I add this number, it has to equal, this is at times now. So this is positive 12. 12 plus what would get me 1? Well, that would have to be a negative number, right? You can do 1 minus 12 to figure that out. But that would be -11, right? So that's my y-intercept. So now I have the equation. It's y equals -6x minus 11. Okay, now you're going to want to check that with this other point just to make sure you did it right. Either that or, better yet, check it on your calculator. And to do that, just enter the 2 points into your calculator, into your list, and do the linear regression, and it'll tell you if you have the right slope and y-intercept. So I'll remind you how to do that. You're going to press Stat, Enter, and hey, look there, I already have those points in. That's awesome. Once you have those in, so I'm just putting these 2 points in right here. Okay. Then you're going to do Stat, arrow over to the Calc, go down to number 4, and calculate it. And let's hope the slope is -6 and the y-intercept is -11, like we thought. All right? So that's a good way to check those. And let's do one more problem. Number 4 says a graph passes through the points -5, 7 and -1, 4. So we're going to want from those two the slope, because we want to write the equation of a line that's parallel. Now, parallel lines will have the same slope. As think about that. So this line has this slope. For another line to be parallel to that, it has to have the exact same slope. But we want it to go through this point. So first thing we want to do is find the slope. I'm going to do that the quick way. Go to my calculator and put in the 2 points. We got -5, 7. So -5 and -1 are my 2 x's. And then my y's are 7 and 4. And then calculate that. Linear regression. This I'm just doing to get my slope. Once I have my slope, then I can figure out the rest. Okay. So my slope is -0.75. Was that a -0.75? Let's get that back in. Yeah. Okay. So now to get my y-intercept, what I need to do is, you know what? I'm gonna use the table method here. So just so you can see how that works. So this is my x. This is my y. I know I want this point here. I want it to go through this point. But I need to know where x is 0, so I need to keep adding 1 till I get to 0. Every time I add 1, my y value is going to go down by -0.75. So I'm going to do 3 minus 0.75. So I'm going to 2.25, 1.5, 0.75, and 0. That was 4 times. So 2.25, 1.5, 0.75, and 0. And there's my y-intercept, 0, 0. So my equation is y equals negative 0.75x plus 0. I'm not going to write that because adding 0 doesn't change the equation. There's your answer. All right, so you go ahead and finish those up and email me a copy of that. And if it looks good, I'll get that test to you. Good luck.